And you're welcome back to the Pulse. Now, government says the reconstruction of Appiatse will commence by end of April. The community, which was brought down to its knees after a truckload of explosives accidentally exploded in the area, leaving many injured and scores displaced. The government says it's now committed to rebuilding the town into a green, modern model community. In the meantime, we know that the residents are living in makeshift tents. Ahead of the rainy season, government is giving indications that plans are far advanced to relocate the residents to a more conducive living space. Meanwhile, the reconstruction team has completed the special plan for the reconstruction, and joining us now in studio is Head of Research with the Land Use and Special Planning Authority, LUPSA, Al-Hassan Mohammed Damba. Al-Hassan, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So that accident was very deadly. We all know the impacts on the community, and where we are now is a stage where life is getting back to normal. Now that we know that there's hope, at least for residents in getting back their community, what plans do you have in place to reconstruct the area and to put it back into use in such a way that will be very much sustainable?
Thank you. As you may know already, government committed to rebuilding the community after the accident, and the Land Use and Special Planning Authority was co-opted onto the committee in charge of the reconstruction project. Now, our terms of reference was straightforward: to prepare a befitting land use plan that would guide the entire reconstruction, including building the houses, building the roads, putting in all the necessary infrastructure, and making sure that the community has an appropriate land use mix that makes it more sustainable, livable, and more importantly, also supports the local economy of the Appiatse community.
So which means that will be your special mandate, ensuring that you bring back the community to life in such a manner that will still, are you putting it back as it used to, or there's a new plan that you have for the area, you know?
Yes, we're supposed to, first of all, restore the people to their normal lives, and more importantly, improve the community over and above its previous state.
Okay.
And that involves a lot. The plan has been done in such a way that it takes care of the housing needs of the 870 inhabitants of the community. It covers an area of about 205 acres and makes very generous provisions for, first of all, the priority is on building the houses, and so about 40% of the land is earmarked for building houses, and 28% for roads, 15% for green spaces, because we are supposed to make sure that the community is very sustainable. Also, if you get to Appiatse, you would realize it was the inner or the core areas that was flattened, and so the focus is to clear and build all the houses there, numbering about 124 units, comprising 1-bedroom units to 6 or 7-bedroom units.
And sorry for cutting through, but the number that you're giving us now, you're saying is 124. And 24.
Yes.
What is informing this number of houses that you're putting back up? Because after the accident, the impression and the reports that were received from the community and the videos and footages that we saw, it appears that the damage was quite far-reaching. So what informed the decision to reconstruct a 124? Yes. What's informing that? Right?
Yes, the planning process began with extensive data collection, inventory, finding out exactly how many houses were there prior to the explosion. And in the core area of the town, we have 124 units gone. And then in the outer perimeter areas of the village, there were a range of damages, including, roofs ripping off to shattered windows and so on and so forth. So I'm still giving you the figure. So we're going to replace 124 units, comprising
Okay,
1-bedroom units to 7 bedrooms. And then in the outer perimeter areas, we have 416 units that will undergo repairs.
Okay, so that's where the difference is. Because I was wondering, I mean, 124 is such a small
Built
figure.
fresh from the scratch, and then 416 would undergo various levels of.
So 416, and then 1 to
4. That's
4.
right. That's
So all these put together should be ranging somewhere around 600 or 40.
Yeah.
About 540 facilities will either be constructed anew or rehabilitated. Right. That's what you're targeting.
Yes.
Right.
And then in addition, we have made provision for expansion of the town or the village. It's fast, merging with Bogoso. And so we have created nearly 100 additional parcels to aid the expansion of the village. And let me add that to make it sustainable as the president directed, we have put in place about 26 different parks and reserve areas where the people are not supposed to build. We're going to plant trees. Some comprise wetland areas. There is also a water body that we have considered as a very sensitive ecological asset, and so it's also seriously and heavily protected. So these are some of the provisions. There are hitherto certain services that did not exist in the village and which we are making provision for, such as a taxi rank. We have an open market. We have a football park. We have a place for a police post. We have a place for clinic. We do have a very important provision, which is a memorial to build in memory of those who lost their lives. And as part of this memorial, we're going to have a miniature, a recreation of the old structures that were demolished. So we would not totally erase from our memories the structures that used to be there before the accident, because that also constitutes their heritage. And so we have taken care of all.
Okay, we'll talk about the timelines shortly, but I'm still concerned about the facilities that you intend to rehabilitate or put up anew. The concern has got to do with some structures that are not within the category of residential facilities, because you talked about a 1-bedroom house, which is the standard or average model you're going for the 124 buildings. How about the religious centers, for instance, and churches that were destroyed due to this accident? Because I recall vividly that Maxwell Agugba was there on the grounds for us at Joy News, and then he brought us a story of a whole church that was collapsed due to the explosion. Right. So how about these facilities as well?
So that's the Church of Pentecost, yes.
Okay, so yes. So you know about the facility I'm talking about.
This is a very thorough and detailed work.
Right.
Done. So there's provision for about 6 churches in this village. Initially, what we could see clearly was that church facility. I mean, your reporter spoke about. If you get to town, that's what you would see. But after the first plan was drafted, we had to go back to the community, place the plan before them, and ask them to make their contributions. And that was when we discovered that there were 5 more churches that we didn't take care of. So all of that has been taken care of. There's one mosque also provided for very, a Muslim population of just about 3 households. So that is also been taken care of. Let me assure you that the planning process has been very, very participatory. And so I do not think we have left anything out that is of importance to the community. After the first draft they made, for example, they brought up the provision for a taxi rank. We thought that it was a matter of vehicles driving by, and then we created a service lane for vehicles to park and then they get on board them, but they felt they should have their own taxi rank. And in addition, we have a market beside which a whole commercial vehicle terminal proposed has been provided for. You made a point about the commercial activities. Yes, Appiatse is a very vibrant community and has its local economy hinged on Fantikenke, for example, and so there were a number of shops fronting the highway. Provision has been made, except that this time the design is not going to allow them to interface the highway directly. We have put in some curbs and greenery between the highway and them, but they are still visible enough so that by driving by, you can still sight them and pick whatever you want to buy.
Right. So let's talk about the timelines. How long is it going to take for this project to be completed?
The TOR given to the committee is to ensure by close of this year, everything is done and dusted. In April, that's, approximately 30 days from now,
right,
we're going to start construction works. The engineers are already on the field working very busily to ensure that they put in all the roads. About 6 kilometers of roads will be built in the inner areas, and in addition to other distributor roads, in total will give us about 12 kilometers of roads to be done. The roads are also have been planned in a hierarchy because the community is not one that has too many vehicles, and so motorization has been limited in favor of, let's say, cycling and pedestrians. And so if you look at the design, we have made provision for a lot of lanes and then a few thoroughfares because we want to minimize the carbon footprints, in the community, for example.
So that's what we're working with by the end of the year. Are you awarding all of this to just one contractor who will be working? Because the assumption is, looking at the number of facilities you want to put up, you may need more hands to work out and to make the strict deadline that you've been given by the ministry.
Yeah, certainly not. We have a procurement process, we have a procurement plan, so that's going to be strictly followed. The adverts are going to come out. I'm sure even starting from Monday, you would see some adverts in respect of...
So the advertisements will start on Monday, but then you're targeting to start construction by 30th of April.
No, the advert is not for construction work.
For
example, there's an open design competition scheme, that would allow individuals to quickly, share their thoughts and
on how to get the place working.
Look like. We already have an idea about how they should look like, but we want more contributions so we can get the best.
Right. One critical thing to this is also about funding. We know that government is doing its best to cover up some funds, and the private organizations are also helping. Would you say that you have enough funds, or perhaps you're still open to the idea of receiving help from goodwill organizations?
Yes, I don't think we have enough. It's still open today. During our meeting with the journalist, it was made clear that we're still expecting very much a lot of contributions.
Oh, so you still want more support?
Yeah, more. So we can do more. Because remember, the plan is so elaborate, and to build the units wouldn't be enough. We need to build the roads, the drains. We need to plant trees. We need to build public facilities like schools. For a clinic, a memorial. These cost a lot.
Yeah, have you put a cost to it? The total
that is being worked on by the engineering, our engineering.
But for now, you can say that you need more funds to do that.
Yeah.
But is that inability of having the full complement of the funds going to affect the timelines? Because if you don't have the money, the expectation is that the end of the year, as you're targeting to complete these projects, may be affected.
We keep working. Remember, even if we had all the resources right now, we couldn't use it.
Okay.
And so we're going to be working alongside, expecting.
But one thing you're not compromising on is the buildings. They would happen whether or not you have support from the organization.
By God's grace, they would happen. They would have to happen, because that is the flagship component of the entire project. The units have to be in place, because currently, remember, they are in temporary camps. We need to quickly get a place for all of them to be housed, and so that is a key priority. But remember, just building the houses wouldn't be enough. We need to add all these complements to make the plan what it is.
The president talks about modifications, a green city. What's that going to be looking like?
Yeah, so by green we have the plant, the fauna aspect. So we're going to have a lot. As I told you, we have about 15% of the entire 205 acres of land going to be dedicated to greenery. So we have reserve, we have parks, and then in addition to that, we're going to have trees planted and lined along all the roads in the community. But remember, greenery doesn't only mean planting trees. We need to make use of energy efficient technologies in the construction and every other aspect of the project. And so, for example, the design is going to be such that they would not have to use so much energy. So, for example, glazing will be discouraged very much in favor of open ventilation and so on and so forth. There are ideas and thoughts about the use of solar technology and so on and so forth. But it's all about funding. Remember, the initial cost of such installations can be very, very high. And so as we move on, we'll look at the various options of greenery or the greenery program that will be integrated into it.
Right. And currently, as we speak, those within the Appiatse area are not in temporary shelters. What are the plans in place for these people? In the meantime, when you start construction, are they still going to be in the community, or are you relocating them for a while? And how long will that exercise take?
Well, after the disaster, they have since been relocated to a temporary camp where they are. A lot of them are in the tents. Currently, we're working on trying to roof some units that were done by a mining firm some time back to relocate some of such communities. That didn't happen. And so we have taken up that, and we put in the roofs and making some improvements to allow them to live there comfortable as the rains come. And so the coming of the rains in itself exerts much pressure on us to work very hard and fast to ensure that these people...
Okay, so let me get the approach. You're moving them out of the community?
They have since been out of the community.
Well, okay, so they're still within the area or out of the community totally?
Out, just about a kilometer away.
Away. Okay, just to make way for
the construction. Okay. This is a temporary, internally displaced camp.
Okay.
You know that.
So it means that for sure they will be there till the end of the year.
Yes, until the construction is completed.
Will you allow for at least economic activities to be going on while the reconstruction is happening? Because if you look at the area where they find themselves, and you're just talking about that's a town that has a linear settlement, if I could refer to it that way. You have many activities going around there. These are people who rely on these economic activities. Are you mindful of that as well?
Well, on the construction side?
Not necessarily the construction side. At least some of the roads have been, the main road has been reconstructed. Will you allow some of the indigenes to come through, work at least for the day, and then go back to their settlement?
They are already working. Majority of them are into farming, others into mining. They are still going about the activity. Roadside retailing is going on. Even in the camp, there are others who are already doing business, and that's going on in earnest. I don't think that is prescribed in any way. What we may not allow to happen now is to allow people to the construction site because of safety issues. That's
right. We need to wrap up, but what assurances can you give our viewers out there about this project?
Well, the assurances is that the government's commitment and directive is going to be followed as far as, and the evidence is there. We have done the plan. Bidding processes are going to start for the construction. Those working on the roads are already on site working. We're going to see that start alongside the building of the units, and once that is done, the allocations will be done. We do have a few challenges regarding people still insisting, for example, that we do not locate them away from where they used to be. So these are some of the challenges we're trying to negotiate with them. And we hope that by close of year, as the deadline has been fixed, we'll be able to finish with everything.
Right. I'm grateful that you've been able to join us here on the Pulse. But